you're on.
You're on, George, believe it or not. So anyway, just stop by my buddy George's office. There's George. And had a little bit of lunch with him and just taking in the flavor of his office and all the memories that are here. And we'll just point some of those out as we're walking along. Go ahead, talk, George.
Okay, this here, let's go in here first, Bob. Just take a picture. This here is my personal office where you can see I have my library of books that are all signed by a lot of the authors because I personally know them, one of which is David Seaman, and I now have his new book, which I'd like to tell you about. But you can also notice in my office that I have a inversion table, and I personally use that. And this computer here is the one I do my notes and reports on. And you can see what a great view I have out the window. This is my favorite place in the whole office. And then over here is my administrative area, my files, which my wife has totally redone to be compliant, HIPAA compliant, to our new program, which we use ChiroFusion, which we like a lot. And it's a great program. And right here's my administrative area where my wife works, but she's not here today. We are going to the ACA Rehab Council's annual symposium, which is in Tempe, Arizona, and we're leaving tomorrow. That's why she's not here today. But I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my friend David Seaman and the Deflame Diet. The reason I brought this up after I had mentioned the ACA Rehab Council, if you want your patients to be proactive in their treatment, this is the perfect opportunity to get them to implement this diet. This is an excellent book, and it explains in easy to understand language the ins and outs of inflammation and joint pain. And you want to get better outcomes, you want to be a good rehab doctor, you just want to be a better doctor and do exercise protocols, recommend for your patient, whether at home or in your office or at the gym or some exercise facility. There's nothing like David Seaman's book and having them follow this diet and take supplements. And we're going to talk a little bit about anabolic labs. I'm going to put this book down. And some of the supplements you can take. And essentially, here's a list of their top 13. Here's the Deflame package. And here are some very important items that I'm going to talk about after I talk about deflaming. So we're going to come into my waiting room, and I have my whole rehab center downstairs.
Before you do that, George, let's show them where it all started.
Oh, at Palmer College of Chiropractic, where I graduated. I'm right there. And you can see me with my good friend Karsten Peterson from Copenhagen, Denmark.
There you go, right there with the full-blown mustache and long hair. Boy, you're still a handsome dude.
That was the day. And you know what? Coming back to that, Bob, come over here. Here's the chiropractic oath that I have from Palmer College that we all got when we graduated. You can see it was signed by Galen Price and Kenneth Kroc. Isn't that amazing? Talk about history and how old I actually am.
You don't act old. Oh.
Anyway, talking about anabolic, I want to talk a little bit about pain relief and going back to the conversation I was having. They have some excellent products, and you can look on my wall here that I give out to patients. They have Zymine, for acute injury recovery. They have Proens for chronic, and they have Salazane for natural pain relief, which is good. You have a headache, and for your chronic pain patients with inflammation, Proens, and there's for your acute. When a patient comes in, you get the Zymine. And the most important thing I'm going to put down here is NutriDisc for that acute patient. Whether they have a disc injury or not, NutriDisc works great. to bring down that patient's symptoms. I just used it the other day on a patient I came in who was bent over with antalgic posture and antalgic gait and leaning to one side and in tremendous pain. Could barely get in and walked out straight. That's just so amazing. And I had him taking these, and I saw him the next day. He was like significantly better, but I had him start taking it that day. We did some treatment, and the outcome looks good.
Speaking of which, there's a bottle of that sitting right there, George.
And sitting aside of it is the Link lozenges. Now, since I'm flying out to Tempe, I'll be in a plane, my wife and I, and we decided that we were going to be very proactive in light of what's going on with the coronavirus. And so what we're doing, and I'd like to explain it to you, is we're doing multiple things. So for each day that we're going to be there, we are going to be taking vitamin C. Now, there are two vitamin C's. There's the natural C, and there's the synthetic C. And the natural C is something that'll say natural on it, or it'll be rose hips or ascorbic acid. The synthetic C will just say vitamin C if you're purchasing it. I love anabolic products, so obviously I would suggest you buy it there, but you could purchase that wherever you want. I don't want to be company specific, but if you read Linus Pauling's work about vitamin C, what he goes on to explain that animals can produce vitamin C. That would be like the synthetic C, but even though we're an animal, we cannot produce the synthetic C. So the problem with that is we have to buy it. Where animals will eat the natural C, so can we, but we can also buy it. So what you want to do is you want to take both C's. Now, they build your immunity, they thin your blood, they'll help you lower your blood pressure, but more importantly, you take D3 with that where you raise your immune function. And the other thing you want to do that we're doing, there is a natural herb called andrographics. You can get that from Standard Process. I recommend andrographics, and also along with that, there is another product that you can get from them called elderberry. So what we're doing is we're taking the C, the D3, the andrographics, and the elderberry, and then secondly what we're doing that we're taking along on our trip are zinc lozenges. So you can suck on these while you're on the plane. You can suck on these while you're in class getting your CEs or the group of people. But more importantly, they are very important in keeping your immune up and preventing you from getting anything, because this will kill it. So that would be important. So it's good to be proactive. And there are a lot of other...
Hold on, George. Before you do that, can I just interrupt a second?
Yeah. I was going to go into this next.
Yeah, I just wanted to say how proud of an association that I and Anabolic Laboratories has had, working with you, working with the ACA, working with the PCA. And look, there's
color in their hair yet, where him and I are now gray.
Oh yeah, young pudgy Bob, full of flab and full of life and black hair. And you have the
president from the PCA, which we donated money to from a class that Bob sponsored that I taught, and to the ACA. You could see the checks, and that's Glenn Manceau, my favorite Raging Cajun, who's a former past president of the ACA.
That's awesome, George. But listen, you've also done a lot of giving back to chiropractic, particularly to the ACA and the ACA Rehab and Therapeutics. What's the actual full name of that?
Well, it's a long time ago, we decided we were going to start the Rehab Council and the Rehab Board. And Kim Christensen and I and Craig Liebenson and Gary Erna, we all got together, and it was a long, hard-fought battle to get us from where we were back in 1990, 1988, 1989 when it all started, till we got our council and board in 1995 in the ACA. But since then, you can see a lot of things have happened. Like I won for my work and dedication. Jerry Simon and I teach the Rehab Advanced Standing program. I won the President's Award in 2013, and I also won. I also attained my fellow in rehabilitation. Here's my diplomate in rehabilitation. I also have a diplomate from the ACA in rehabilitation, and I was ACA Rehab Chiropractor of the Year in 2007. So yeah, we've come a long way. I did a lot to move this forward. And I had run the board and I had run the council where I was past president of the council.
Look at you when you really had your dark hair going on.
Yeah, and I was really heavy there too. But since then, I've been going to the gym 3 to 5 times a week. I take supplements. I follow David Seaman's Deflame Diet. And Jerry Simon and I teach the Rehab Advanced Standing program, which you could, if you want more information, you could look at our website. And you can see that this is me teaching a class actually in New Jersey. This one here is also in Jersey. This was at the PCA convention. That was in Valley Forge. And this here was in Harrisburg.
Awesome. Lots of history. I'm going to flip this around. So anyway, George, you hold on to that. You have a safe trip. Where are you going? To Phoenix, is it? The ACA Rehab Convention?
The March 13th through 15th in Tempe, Arizona at the Hyatt. We are going to have the ACA's annual symposium. We have 131 people currently registered that are going to be there. We have 25 vendors, and I would hope to see everybody there. We have 18 CEs. We have 9 speakers, fabulous speakers, including Gray Cook, who's one of the pioneers in the rehab profession. We have Scott Haldeman, who's just tremendous. Jeff Tucker is going to be speaking. We're going to have John Lisi, from the VA. It's just an incredible lineup of speakers. We have too many people. Dr. Fields is going to be another speaker that we have. It's just incredible. You could go to our website. You could just Google ACA Rehab Console, and if you're interested, you could click on Symposium and register on that page. I hope to see y'all there.
George, nice hanging out with you as always. And I know there was a lot of information contained in that, so I thank you for listening. And reach out to George, reach out to myself if we could be of any service to you. And to be continued. Have a great day.